Today we're tackling a question from YouTube from the user John Castasnos. Hope I've said that right and not completely butchered it. But he asks, how would I rank the Star Wars movies? Now this is a difficult question because it feels like there are hundreds of Star Wars films. It turns out there are only 11, which I have numbered here 11 through to 1, and that's including all the main films. This isn't talking about like the Ewok made for TV specials. Let's not get into that. That's a whole can of worms I am not willing to open at this point. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through my list here very briefly, and instead of going through every film and why I think it deserves that spot, I'll just pick out a few films here and there and talk about them and why I think they're either terrible or decent or pretty good. So let's start off here. At number 11 is the Clone Wars movie. Moving down, number 10, Attack of the Clones. Number 9, The Phantom Menace. Number 8, Solo, A Star Wars Story. Number 7, Revenge of the Sith. Number 6, probably controversial, regardless of where I put this, it would probably be controversial, that's The Last Jedi. Number 5 is Rogue One. Number 4, The Force Awakens. Number 3, Return of the Jedi. Number 2, A New Hope. And number 1, quite cliche, you could have probably predicted it, but it is The Empire Strikes Back. So if you're wondering why the Clone Wars film is number 11, it's quite obvious. Of course, the Clone Wars series became a really good show, and it's one of the best pieces of Star Wars work out there, you could argue. The film, it wasn't great. Let's not beat around the bush. This was obviously before the Clone Wars series took place, so the show was in its infancy, and it just, the ball was still to get rolling, so to speak. And if you go back and watch it, you could tell it's just a few episodes that was originally supposed to be in season 1 just clumped together, and it's like, that'll do, watch it, hopefully you like it. And unfortunately not many of us did, although it's not horrible. You could even argue Attack of the Clones is worse, which ranks at number 10 of course. Now the reason I put The Phantom Menace above Attack of the Clones is because I've recently went and rewatched The Phantom Menace, because fun fact, I've got a series about The Phantom Menace coming up in the new year. Fingers crossed I can get it in time, but yeah, I've got a series involving The Phantom Menace and it should be quite exciting. Hopefully you guys will like it. There's a lot of work involved and stuff, and it's yeah, it might take a while, but it should all be worth it. Anyway, I recently rewatched The Phantom Menace and I actually quite liked it. It's not the best Star Wars film, hence, you know, it's number 9. But yeah, I think it's quite underrated. It has a lot of great moments, a lot of moments that are now some of the greatest moments in all of Star Wars. Of course, it's still bogged down with Jar Jar Binks. There's no real way to get around how awful he is. And also, it's supposed to be a kids' film, but it starts off talking about trade disputes and tax. I still don't even know what tax is, and I'm 21 going on 22. It's probably a problem, I'll end up in jail, but it's just, no kid wants to know about, they want laser swords, god damn it. Anyway, Solo, A Star Wars Story, let's not talk about that. It's not, it was alright. It wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as Revenge of the Sith. The best of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith is, but again, it's still got George Lucas's sort of prequel smear over it. I'm sure we can all agree that it does still have its problems, but it's still a fun movie. And I think what I like about it more than Solo is that it just seemed more consistent all the way through. You know, it was action at the start, action at the end. It was a lot of great moments, Order 66, a lot of great lightsaber duels and all that good stuff. Solo, it just got boring at parts, didn't it? I'm not going to touch The Last Jedi, let's not talk about that. It's bang in the middle because I think it has its problems, although I do think it's an underrated film. I'm going to get hate for that, no doubt. Rogue One is above that. I've talked before about how I love Rogue One. I think it is the best anthology film so far, which is not hard. There's only another one it's competing against, but even when they inevitably release the Obi-Wan movie, or if they eventually release more anthology movies, I think Rogue One will still stand head and shoulders above them. I just really think it's a kick-ass film, and that ending every single time, that ending, how it ties directly into New Hope and Darth Vader kicking ass. Who does not want Darth Vader kicking ass? It's awesome. Now going into the top 3, we'll skip over The Force Awakens. Again, that's another film, if I talk about it, I could get a lot of, you know what, let's briefly talk about The Force Awakens. So what I liked about The Force Awakens, although it's very similar to A New Hope, which was kind of the idea. It was somewhat of a soft reboot, you know, it was paying homage to A New Hope, which I think a lot of people don't quite understand to this day, which is unfortunate. Yeah, The Force Awakens, I just remember how hyped I was for that film, and that whole night, you know, going to see the midnight screening, and then the whole build up to it, and then after it, how excited I was and how blown away by it I was, and I just felt like Star Wars was back, and it was such a great feeling, and I loved every single second of The Force Awakens watching it in the cinema, and I couldn't wait to come home and talk about it. I'm kind of in disbelief that people don't like it as much as I do, because, you know, I just remember enjoying it so much. But of course, as the weeks followed after the film, people started becoming more vocal about it and stuff like that. But I still rank it up there. I don't think it is quite as good as any of the original trilogy films. Number 3 is the final movie of that trilogy, Return of the Jedi. Everyone, you know, if they are to rank their favourite Star Wars films, I think everyone would put Return of the Jedi before A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, just because it plays it a bit safe. It brings back the Death Star, like it's treading on, you know, if you dislike The Force Awakens for bringing back Starkiller Base, then you have to criticise Return of the Jedi for the Death Star too. It just felt like playing it safe and just going back to what we know, and the plan with Luke at the start made no sense at all. So much so that there's so many YouTube videos out there of people trying to explain what on earth was happening with Luke's plan, and did it actually go awry? Was it successful? Did it mean to go that way? So when you've got a whole debate in the fandom about that, then that's a bit strange. Yeah, it's not the strongest of the original trilogy, and to be honest, between number 1 and 2, it's cliche, and you're probably like, inside Star Wars, you're just one of those fans that just loses their mind for Empire and get over yourself, whatever. But honestly, those first 2 films are interchangeable in my opinion. One week, A New Hope will be my favourite. Next week, The Empire Strikes Back. I just think The Empire Strikes Back, it takes what we loved about A New Hope and then it manages to times that by 10. It adds the love arc between Han and Leia. I always say Han's name wrong, even after seeing Solo. It adds their love arc. It starts off with an incredible battle, the Battle of Hoth. It doesn't end happily, which I quite like. I don't like these big massive celebrations like the heroes did it. Yeah, I kind of like when the villains stick it to the good guys sometimes, just to mix it up a bit, make it seem like the stakes are higher for the third film and whatnot. And I also love the revelation that Darth Vader was Luke's father. I think, well, it's one of the greatest plot twists in all of cinema, never mind Star Wars, so that's why for me it takes the number 1 spot. But of course, you guys are going to have different rankings, and you're going to disagree with me, and you're going to have perhaps films in a completely different order and whatnot. So let me know your ranking 11 through 1 of all these Star Wars films that have been released at the cinema. Let's again avoid TV specials and Ewoks and stuff like that, and just get down to brass tacks in the comments below. And as always, if you have a question you would like me to tackle in one of these sort of more relaxed videos, I don't have to follow a script, I just talk straight from my mind, then be sure to leave them in the comments below. Until next time, may the Force be with you. That was cliche, but screw it. Bye guys.